Welcome to District 32, immersion, inspiration for ambitious business owners with big dreams.
Hello, my name is Lorraine Garvey of District 32, and I have got the absolute privilege of interviewing Debbie Millard of DHM Coaching. Debbie, how are you?
I'm great, thank you, Lorraine. Thank you on this cold wintry day.
It is. It puts a time stamp on it. You got such a lovely background there. I'm loving your scarf as well. You're rugged up.
Oh, I certainly am. Well, I live up in the hills, and these houses aren't terribly well insulated, so it's pretty cold in the winter and pretty hot in the summer. But I love living up here. Absolutely love it.
Well, it looks a nice office, a nice and working environment.
Yeah, it's fabulous, and I can look out on my garden and all the trees. It's wonderful. I love it. Absolutely love it.
Well, there you go. Getting to know you already.
Yeah.
So Debbie, this is a get to know you video. I really want to know more about you, about your business, how you got started, what do you do? So tell us then, what is your coaching? What are you trying to achieve through your coaching? What's your speciality? What's your impact, and who's it for?
Great. Thanks, Lorraine, for asking. So my thing is all about business finance. So if I have to put a nail on my niche in the coaching space, that's what it is. So, and what's that all about is that I come from a financial background. So I'm a chartered accountant, and I have worked in senior financial roles as CFO in large private business for many, many years. And now through a coaching lens, I'm sort of really passionate about helping leaders in business, helping business owners who, by their own admission, don't do numbers. Finance is the least favourite aspect of their role, to really help them to overcome their fear, overcome any anxiety, and just to really help them make friends with their numbers. So I like to think of myself as, the friendly face of finance. And one of the things about me is that, okay, yes, I'm an accountant, but I like to pride myself on I'm not just a numbers person. If anything, I'm probably more of a people person than I am a numbers person. I just happen to end up in leadership roles in finance. So for me, it's about, bringing those two things together and, making finance personable, making it approachable for almost anyone who has any touch points with finance in their business.
Okay, thanks for that. I love the 3 F's in there. To help us remember. And I think I'm hearing a little bit of your story there on the transition. But what made you transition from the corporate world to the independent business owner world?
Yeah, well, I made this change 4.5 years ago now, and it was something. So I'd been in the corporate world in my last role for about 15 years. Great organisation, one of the large private residential builders in WA. I used to think I'd worked for one of the best entrepreneurs in Perth, worked for a great guy. So when I chose to leave, it was nothing about them. It was all about me, and it was all about me and something in here that was missing. I had a great job, worked with a great team, did some really cool stuff. But it was all about here, and it was a pretty stressful existence, but there was always something missing, and that purpose bit was missing. So I had several goes at trying to leave over the 15 years, but always seemed to be managed to persuade myself, or got managed to persuade, or my head told me, oh, Debbie, you'd be stupid to give this up. Anyway, I did give it up, and there's something happened that made me give it up, which is my husband fell off a bike and broke his neck. And spending one night in hospital as a spinal injury patient was enough for me to give myself the kick up the arse to go, Debbie, if you're going to do anything, get on with it. And what are you waiting for? Anyway, my husband was fine, but anyway, so that was the kick up the pants that I needed to go do something different. And when I left, I really had no idea what it was. I just knew I needed to create space, find the time to explore. And if I stayed in my role, I was never going to find that time and have that space or the energy to actually do that. So I've done a variety of things over the last few years, and almost fell into the doing my own thing, I'd say almost by accident, by bouncing around a little bit, initially thinking purpose had to mean not-for-profit. That didn't quite work for me. Was to then realise I had to look closer to home, and my purpose was much more closer to home, and I could have much more impact by bringing me and I guess the benefits of my experience to work with others in a more direct kind of way. So that's kind of my journey. So it's almost incidental, really, or accidental.
And I'm guessing you'll never look back?
No, absolutely not. But it's not been an easy journey, Lorraine. That's been for sure, and it's probably been harder in ways that I didn't expect. But now it's going, and the phone's ringing and getting inquiries and kind of what have you, and I've got a fairly full order book, and really enjoying, I guess, the fact that I am delivering value. And for me, I get a real kick out of the fact, like, for example, yesterday I ran a financial literacy workshop through the Small Business Development Corporation. And the feedback I get and the difference I can make to someone's world in one day. There was a lady there yesterday, she's running her own hairdresser business. And, what she shared about how I just managed to bring these numbers to life in a way that she'd never comprehended before, that's going to bring real value to her in setting up a small business. And that's the kind of stuff I get a buzz, I get a real buzz out of that.
That's fantastic.
So that's what keeps me going, I guess. So I love doing that. But I also, and I do what I do in a couple of different ways. So I do financial literacy workshops. So that's a particular product that I work with, called the Financial Accounting, Finance and Accounting Fundamentals, which is a licensed product through the Colour Accounting Learning System. So that's a really, really great tool. A few District 32 members have come along and done that, and really enjoyed it. So that's great. But I also work, I guess, directly with business leaders in their business, and you might call that a more traditional CFO consulting type role.
Yep.
I like to think of it as more. I still think it's a form of business finance coaching, and it's what that's all about is, I guess, working with businesses that are probably large enough to have their own finance function, be that in-house or outsourced. Probably got 10 or more employees. Their revenue will be in the millions, and so but they're big enough, established enough to know they've got some issues in their finance function. So I love going into those businesses on a fairly short-term basis. I'm not in the market to be anyone's full-time CFO. I did that for 15 years. I don't need to do that anymore. But I'm really about helping those business owners get over a hump in their finance function, whatever that might be. Their processes aren't working. They've not got the right people in there, or they just don't know what they don't know, or they're not getting the right information, or whatever it might be, or strategically they need to change things to enable them to achieve their business objectives, and they know their finance function isn't strong enough to support them in what they need to achieve. So I'll go and take a little look, do a bit of a review to see what's going on, what I think I can help them with, and then we develop a plan to say, okay, what can I do for you? What can I help you? What can I help you achieve?
So you've answered several of my questions there, Debbie, which is fantastic. I just want to lean back into the, how you opened up that conversation was around, it's not been easy.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I've ever heard any business owner in the first 1, 2 or 3 years say, "Oh, it was so much easier than I thought it was going to be."
Yeah.
Like never, not yet. We're around the block meeting many people, and I've never heard anybody. So it's always been so much more challenging than we could ever perceive it to be.
Absolutely. And I think we go into this, we all go into this thinking we're reasonably smart people, and if we've come from a corporate world, thinking, okay, we know our stuff, kind of thing. But there's obviously a whole lot, there's a whole lot more to it, and the whole marketing business development thing for me, that has been my certainly my Achilles heel, and District 32's certainly helped me with that, and some of the great people I've met, like Kate de Jong, has been given me some coaching around that, and so other coaches have been a big part of my journey, and taking advice from other sort of other people in business. But it's been hard. It's been really hard, and certainly had a few knocks and a few mistakes and wrong turns along the way. And I still think it's a journey, and I don't think I've landed entirely, and I think I'll just continue to evolve. And some of the stuff I'm doing now, like, for example, I've recently got myself accredited to be a facilitator for the Australian Institute of Company Directors in financial literacy. So that's a big, and I'm really chuffed about that, because
that's massive.
Yeah, and it's huge. Absolutely, you're right.
You need to let us know about that for a member update email, right? That's a story.
Yeah, thanks. And it is huge, absolutely huge, because I did my Institute of Company Directors years and years ago, and it's held in quite reasonable regard as a qualification. So to think, now little old Debbie is now accredited as a facilitator, it's like, oh, wow, did I set out to do that? No, I didn't. But it's just how one thing has evolved to another, and through the contacts you have, and, and I guess the benefits of the networks and the company that we keep, that eventually, and it seems like eventually, some of this stuff and some of these connections are starting to, pay dividends, which is good.
It takes time. You got to be in it for the long haul. It's a long game in business. And as soon as we can be at one with it's a long game and it's going to be madness. If we can be at one with that, we're halfway there. So what's next for you though, Debbie? You're doing your workshops, you're doing coaching, you're doing this accreditation, which is a massive step, and I'm sure that's going to open some doors for you. But what have you got in store for the next few years, or is it consolidating?
I guess it's probably consolidating to the extent that I guess I get into a bit of the portfolio looks like what I want it to look like, I guess, and I feel like I'm getting there. Between I don't want to be facilitating workshops day in, day out. That's not my bag. I'm happy to do a couple of those a month, but I don't want to be doing it every day of the week. I don't think of myself as a trainer, but for me, it's about finding that sweet spot between doing facilitation and sharing my value with others, working directly in SME businesses, with other entrepreneurs, helping them, whether that's in a financial way or whether that's through a broader business coaching approach. Doing some directorships, and I didn't share with you, I'm also a director of West Cycle, and I'd like to do some more directorships as well. So that's another sort of string to my bow.
You're just bored?
If I get bored, and I do some one-to-one coaching, and that one-to-one, because I'm an accredited professional coach. So that one-to-one coaching there again is about developing a niche there. And at the moment, my niche is very much around finance professionals, and particularly women finance professionals. Okay. So that's what I'm about. And it's about, in terms of the next few years, I guess, achieving the balance. So I guess I'm at that stage of life where it's about that balance, that work-life balance. So, I'm not in this to be working all night and all weekend. And I know as business owners, we've got to be prepared to do a bit of that to get things going. But this is also about setting myself up so I can maintain this livelihood for the next 10 or more years, but without killing myself.
Yep. Different set of goals than we go in with, right?
yeah, that's right. But if I go back to thinking about why did I do this 4.5 years ago? Why did I leave that executive role? I have to be honest with myself, and part of that was about, it was a pretty stressful existence, and my health suffered as a consequence of that. And now I know I'm much healthier. I'm a much healthier person, and so in terms of my personal well-being, so it's about maintaining that. So it is about that balance for me, about how much I'm prepared to do to achieve what I want to achieve, and get the appropriate rewards in terms of that, how I can contribute value to others.
Debbie, that is an absolutely wonderful note to finish on. Thank you very much for sharing your time. I think we've got a better idea of who you are, where you've been, where you want to be, how you help people, the problems you solve. And there's loads of layers of insights in there as well around, how we navigate life, stress, balance, and fulfillment.
Absolutely.
So, Debbie, thank you very much for sharing your time, and I look forward to speaking to you again.
Well, thanks, Lorraine, for giving me the opportunity.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
You've been listening to District 32. Immersion, inspiration for ambitious business owners with big dreams.